Hello and good Tuesday, almost afternoon on this 17th day of October. This is Victoria Hill, the Public Information Officer for the City of Billings. We're hosting a series of podcasts this week that focus on the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Bond. Yesterday, we heard from our police chief and our police department. We also heard from our finance director and city administrator. And today, we are bringing on Ashley and Thom with Big Sky Economic Development. I'll let you guys go ahead and say hello. There's Miss Ashley for us. And then we're also going to say hello to Thom. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate it. And we are focusing on the workforce and how this bond ties to the workforce. I wanted to start with one of the concerns that folks seem to have, and that is building a rec center, which is just one part of this bond, would potentially take away business from some of our smaller gyms, our local gyms, even the bigger gyms. Either of you go ahead and chime in on should that be a concern of ours right now?
So we're really lucky to have the gym facilities that we have in Billings right now. But one thing that I think about in terms of the rec center is a membership versus a non-membership facility. This is a place, if you think about from a community standpoint, from a workforce standpoint, that people can drop in at their convenience and utilize the facility versus being tied to a monthly membership model. The other part of that is we have part of our workforce who's coming in from other communities or visiting for health appointments and things like that, that they'd be able to drop in if you're visiting family. If Billings is the hub that you come to go home, you can go with your family and play a game, enjoy your time together there. The other thing I think about with this is cost. So we don't know the numbers yet for the rec center, but from the understanding is that it will be an option for a low cost barrier for the community to be able to enjoy what will be a beautiful facility. And then obviously you have the times throughout the year that there'll be major events there, which will bring the community together for that.
And you bring up a good point about cost. That is something that people have asked me about, and they say, well, we're supporting this with, if we did vote for the bond, so we're already paying part of this, so why would we have to pay for a recreation center membership? And it's the same as any of the other summer programs that you can, and I shouldn't just say summer because there's also the fall, spring, and winter, but Parks and Rec offers a wide variety of programming, and there is a membership fee for that or a cost for that. And so we can think of it in that same way. Now, Thom, I want to ask you now, as an economic development entity, why is Big Sky Economic Development and large companies like Par Montana supportive of the bond and maybe just parks, rec, and trails in general?
Well, you mentioned it before, the workforce. Workforce is the one issue that always comes up with our business leaders and our member investors. They're looking for it. We have a problem in Billings where right now we have so many openings we can't fill. We have a growing economy. We have jobs that are coming online. We have an aging workforce. There's, I think, 27% of our workforce in 2020 was 55 or older. So those people are going to be retiring. We need to replace those, plus replace the new jobs or fill the new jobs that are going to, that come with a growing economy. So, one way you do that is by building a community that people want to be in. How do we attract the workforce we need? How do we retain the people, the young people in our community, make them want to stay and grow and live in Billings and fill those jobs?
And there's chatter. I mean, it's very obvious the population of Billings is growing, and part of what makes Billings such a gem is that people really like the small town community feel, but the reality is that Billings is growing and it is attracting more people. And so, making it attractive, we want to have those resources available to them to get out and enjoy. And let's talk now, Ashley, about not just talent attraction, but what's in it for for the businesses too. This kind of works both ways.
Yeah, I've heard anecdotally, and then this is a lived experience for me, but if you talk to people who are coming to Billings to interview for our hospitals or they're driving around with their real estate agents, you hear feedback that they're looking around at the neighborhoods. Not only are they looking at their workplace and the area around that, but they're driving around our neighborhoods in the Heights and the West End, and they're noting what is around their neighborhood. Do they have a coffee shop? Do they have a park? These are things that we are hearing directly from the people who are meeting the new members of our community or potential members of our community, which would then be members of our workforce, that they are paying attention to our investment in our parks and our trails. And then also they're comparing it to the cities that they're visiting, either in Montana or in the region.
And before we started rolling, you did make a good a point on we don't want Billings to only be known as a place with just good public safety, which is always an ongoing battle. We're always trying to get better at that. But we also want it to be a place of variety, so not just that one focus.
Yeah, and I grew up in Billings. I grew up in the Heights. I lived behind Skyview, and I came back after a decade because I remember a wonderful experience of living in the Heights. I was sharing with Thom and Diane this morning that I had a wonderful experience living there. I would take the bus to the West End to meet friends, and that's the experience that I remember. And that's a great thing if we have people who are moving back to the community because of that experience. But then that's an experience that we share with people who are new to the area. And Billings is a very welcoming place. And I do feel like we need to be well-rounded in our approach to our focuses. We'll always be a community that's focused on the best possible area to live and work. And public safety is part of that, but also having great recreation is part of that too.
Yeah, and you are a living example of just that. I have a daughter. She's only 7 right now, but I know one day she will grow up. And right now she says she wants to go to Rocky Mountain College because their mascot is a bear. And, when she gets her degree, if it's time to move on or stay, I would love for her to be able to stay and find, whatever career path she goes into here locally, but then also have all the things that make life good. We had a slide. Let me pull it back up here. And Thom, I don't know if you want to
Well, just
hit on this.
I want to add
Yeah,
to
go
what
ahead.
Ashley said. We have a different dynamic anymore. I mean, it used to
Mm-hmm.
be decades ago that jobs followed or people followed jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
we're in a different dynamic where the businesses actually have to follow the talent. There's stats out there that say that up to 70% of people choose a place before they choose a career.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's
that's
my
more
experience.
important. And yeah, and we need to develop a place that's going to be attractive to the people who the businesses are looking for. And so the businesses in that situation are going to follow the talent to the places that are attractive to talent.
Yeah, it does work that other way around now. And that does tie into the slide here that we have from Talent Wars. Can you tell us, one of you tell us about this report that came out and its findings?
Well, Talent Wars is done by DCI, and basically it's a resource we use every year. They have this annual report, and it just basically tells us what people are looking for and what makes people move and why they choose the places that they do. And as you can see from the slide, 45% choose a better quality of life, are moving forward. That's the primary reason they're moving. And quality of life is a large. There's a large scope to that, and a part of that is the assets that we build in our community to attract people and to give people things to do. So, I mean, quality of life includes public safety, it includes parks and recreation, outdoor recreation, it includes schools, but we can't focus on one element to the detriment of another. So, parks and recreation and trails are a big part of quality of life, and I think we need to do we can to improve that.
All right. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to discuss or talk about or maybe bring to our attention that we haven't hit on yet today?
Um, well, I mean, we're the economic value of parks is it's kind of a squishy subject. It's hard to delineate. I wouldn't say hard. I'd say it's expensive and time consuming to actually put a number on that. But it's also it's like all public goods. It's one of those things that like police and fire service. It's hard to put a number on how much economic value police and fire service bring to your community, but you know your community would not be the same without those services. And parks, recreation, and trails, that's just another aspect of it to build the assets that make your community a good place to live and give you some community pride.
All right. And if anyone is watching right now and wants to learn a little bit more about the projects, they can go to billingsmt.gov/parksbond 2023. There's an overview of all 16 projects that folks would expect if the bond were to pass. You can learn a little bit more about those, anything from the cost to, like we were just talking about, public safety, public health, and then the individual projects themselves. If you do have any questions, we do have a question form that you can click on, and once that gets loaded, you can fill out your question and then contact information so we can have one of our staff members respond back to you. But if you watch or listen to this podcast after the fact and you do have any questions on talent attraction and the workforce, I can get in touch with Ashley and Thom to follow up and get those answered for you as well. I want to thank both of you for coming on and being part of the podcast. Thank you so much for your
Thanks for
insight
having
on
us.
that. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for watching, everyone. And we will see you next time for the next one, which is on public health on Wednesday. We'll see you then.